coming forward again, offering the threat. There's a flick from Isidore, and Sunderland have come from behind. Wilson Isidore with an exquisite flick, and the Black Cats are in front.
Hello and welcome back to the WTF Sunderland Preview Podcast as we approach yet another playoff campaign. Bizarrely, since we started this podcast 5 years ago, this will be our fourth playoff campaign. And who else to celebrate the special occasion other than Coventry bloody City? And I feel like I could have scheduled this podcast all the way back in March, last time we spoke. Such is the inevitableness of it. And I believe we pretty much knew it was happening, Ross, didn't we? How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. We've just had a good little chat off air for a bit, haven't we? And I think from what you were saying, even some of your lot were predicting this back when we were rubbish in October, start of November time before Robbins had even been sacked. So yeah, it's like we both said, at least it's not the final. That's the most important thing, that it's over two legs and none of us have won anything if we lose to one another. So that's the bit of pride and hope we can both take from it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, mate. Look, we've been in contact all season and I felt like we knew this was going to happen. But like, how unsurprised were you as a Coventry fan that it came to pass that it's Sunderland versus Coventry for Wembley?
When it was coming up to those last few games, obviously we knew pretty much that you were moving. You had fourth spot. I mean, just off topic, how we finished 7 points behind you, by the way, is so bizarre, considering at one point you were like nearly 30 points clear of us and looked like a totally different team. Like that, I'm sure you'll dive into that a little bit later on from your perspective of things. But yeah, no, we obviously were thinking in our running we're going to get Sunderland because we were fifth for a little bit for quite a while. Then obviously over the Easter weekend we beat West Brom at home 2-0. And we had two poor results. Then obviously back to back we lost to Plymouth away, horrendous game, don't even want to think about that game again. And then obviously that Luton game on the telly, the second last game of the season, which we obviously lost 2 games. And it pretty much looked like a lot of us thought, we knew Bristol City weren't going to get a result at Leeds on that Monday, because obviously they were going for the league, so it was all down to the last game. And I think a lot of us thought, well, if we win we'll get 6th because Bristol will get 5th and play Sunderland, because obviously they're going to probably beat Preston. Well, sod's law have it, as they say. We obviously won our game and did our job, but Bristol City only managed to get a 2-2 draw, which meant they ended up finishing 6th in the end. So it kind of all fell back into place. I think a lot of us at first thought if we get in, we're more than likely to go, oh, great, it's going to be Hamer and O'Hare coming back to the CBS again, and it's one of those ones. So it didn't really work out nicely for either way of who we played in the playoffs. You know, we have our sort of mini rivalry with yourselves, and obviously Sheffield United, there's a bit of bashing there between us and them, because obviously they've got a couple of our ex-players and things like that. So either way it didn't work out too well. But obviously if you look at recent history, your form, I think majority of Cov fans would obviously say they'd prefer Sunderland. But as I've said to you off air, mate, none of that matters in this moment now. It's 2 playoff games, anything can happen. It's 2 90-minute games of football, and as we both know, anything is possible in games. Like we just said off air, it could be 4-0 to one of us and the other one could still win 5-4, because that's how football works, especially when it gets to this stage of the season. So it's going to be 2 very, very good games of football, and in my opinion, and I know yours as well, it's going to definitely be the most watched and also best 2 games of football out of obviously our game, but obviously the Bristol and Sheffield United one in our opinion. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of games, mate. But let's see what both of us can do and who comes out the winner at the end of it all.
Looking at the last game, it was kind of I think Lampard described it as a playoff quarter final, which is quite smart from him. He doesn't look that smart, but apparently he is. Sorry, Frank, but no, but seriously. But look, Bill, there's a massive game between you and Middlesbrough. We've played you both this season. I do think you're the better team. I think it was largely shit or bust, and I expected you to come out of that, but you passed it with flying colours, really. How impressed were you with Saturday's performance, considering the pressure that'll be on these next 2 games as well?
Yeah, I think like you just said, mate, that the Lampard was clever. I think even us as fans treated it like a playoff quarter final. So we've effectively played our quarter final now, because it was a massive game. As you said, it was basically do or die in that game. So now we're into the semi-final. Obviously, we have a thing with Coventry called like unseen bits, which is where like the camera people get like extra footage and they release it, especially after you win on a game day. And they released it yesterday, and it's quite good because obviously they go into the changing rooms and stuff like that, and they released a bit of footage of Lampard pretty much saying to them, like, great job, well done, like, rest and recover now, let's go. And we're kind of going to the playoffs he described as like this. So we're going up now, and we're going to take it in our stride. And I think that comes from the basis of that quarter final that we played Saturday. And like you said, getting the job done. I mean, Middlesbrough had little moments, mate. But if I'm honest, we should have wrapped the game up way before we even did. We had a lot of clear-cut chances that we missed, and I think that will be the key coming into our two games, is we have to take those chances more, and if we get them, and put you a lot more out of sight than we did in that game, because obviously that's just a one-off league game. This is a two-legged game. So I think, yeah, it was an impressive performance. One I predicted, as I said to you off air. I said I thought we'd win the game 2-0, which came into fruition. And I think, yeah, they're a bit of a strange team, Middlesbrough. I think they should have done a lot better than they did. And I know there's a lot of pressure on Carrick, and a lot of them kind of want him gone and stuff like that. But you could kind of see we were just running a little bit extra more than them as well. Like, you could tell we wanted it more than their players. It was almost like they half believed they were going to do something, whereas we fully believed we were going to win the game and get into the playoffs. So I think that was the big difference. And obviously on the day we just had more quality, and obviously we've got our probably informed player at the moment and our star man, which is Jack Rodoni, going into the playoffs as well, which is going to be interesting to see.
Confidence is high amongst Coventry fans from what you can see, and I understand that 100%. But that win came off the back of what probably Sunderland fans haven't realised, a pretty patchy run of form. I think you were flying last time we spoke, and when you beat us, I think it was like 9 and 10 or something along that line. But you'd won 8 and 9 previously, lost a derby like in a one-off game. But your form has actually been a bit inconsistent, mainly with the home form and the away form, essentially. But you've lost back to back against Luton and Luton and Plymouth away. You drew with Hull, but you've beaten Borough, West Brom, and Pompey. And I know Pompey are a bit further down there, but Pompey are in decent form. Why have Coventry been patchy, and why have you been patchy, particularly on the road, in terms of not really picking up that many results?
Yeah, it's a really strange one, mate, because we all keep asking ourselves. I mean, just to give our home record under Lampard is phenomenal. We've won 11 as the season finished, drew 2 and lost 2. The only two teams that have come to us under Lampard and won, Leeds and Burnley. So the top two teams that finished on 100 points are the only two teams in this division under Lampard that have actually took 3 points from us to our stadium. Two teams got a draw, which were Millwall and Cardiff around similar times. Cardiff was Lampard's first game, which was I think it was a 1-1 in the end that we drew with them, or a 2-2, I can't remember. And then Millwall was a bit of a stalemate 0-0. You know, and you have that Christmas patch where there's a lot of games, and it was a bit of a meh type of game. But bar that, we've won every single home game since under Lampard, bar Burnley, which was the one we lost. So it's been pretty much a win every game. So our home form is phenomenal, and that's why I said to you, it's a cauldron now, and it's a place that I don't think any team, including yourselves, really want to come to. But the away form is something for you guys to have a bit of hope on, because we have not been good away. I mean, injuries don't help that. I mean, obviously we lost Oliver Dovin, our goalkeeper, who played against you back in March. We lost him after that international break. So the last game he fully played was against you, and then he got injured at Sheffield United. He did his ACL, so he's going to be out for 6 to 9 months now. And then obviously we had the dreaded word of Brad Collins come into goal. Now, Brad Collins is, you, for our sake, we'll be glad going into the playoffs knowing he's not playing, because we all said if he was playing, he would have definitely had a say in either one of those two games against you, where it would have been a mistake that would have been made at a crucial time to give whoever we played the upper hand if we were to get in the playoffs. And obviously Ben Wilson is now back in goal, but I think the change of goalie didn't help. We've obviously had loads of injuries. People like Victor Torp got injured as well. Mason Clark was out for a bit. Ben Sheaf was here and there. Rodoni had a bit of an injury. So we've had so many like iffy kind of bitty injuries as well. Bobby Thomas has been out, but coming back into the playoffs now, the only player that we're missing currently is who didn't play was Mason Clark. So I think that does have a bit of a factor to it when you don't have your full squad available, and we have people like Thomas Asante and people who were out for a bit as well. So all of that does take its toll, but I don't think it's an excuse for the away form we've had. That's one thing our fans are very not concerned but annoyed about, is that we just seem to have been really poor in a lot of games. The only recent away game that we've actually played well in was Hull, and we still didn't get the job done there. Like, we should have been out of sight against them, and then we conceded a poor deflected goal and drew 1-1, and it was a bit like, this is kind of the story of our season, which is why I've said to you, I think it will be, even if it's a few goal lead for us, there's still a major possibility for you to get back in the game at your place because of how poor our away form is. But as we've said, a playoff game is a totally different vibe and feel to a league game. So I think all the league sort of things they go out the door now in these two games. It is literally just two cup finals that you turn up and both teams play in and try and win and see who gets the better. So I think it's a bit of a concern, but I'm not that concerned because I think the players will be up for it. And as we've said, last time we played you there, we managed to get something from you as well. And then obviously the recent game, we won 3-0 and effectively battered you, as they say, so to speak, and didn't really give you a kick for the majority of it, which I know you'll go into, and things you've had a lot of players missing in that game, etc., etc. But I think for your fans' sake, it'll be a bit of your hope will kind of come from our away form, if that makes sense. Even if we get the result in the home leg on Friday, I think you can take that into consideration, really, that you'll still be in it because of not just it being a cup final, both games. It's more our away form still hasn't been very, very good recently at all. So I think it will probably play a little bit of a factor into it, but not too much, as I've said. But yeah, it's not been a great end of season with our away form, but home we can't complain because we've been phenomenal at home. Sorry.
No, I feel the same way. I think because, like, I think, look, it's a really tough game on Friday. There's a reason we don't do very well there, and I think even if you look at take away all the kind of worry and the bogey team thing, I think Coventry are just a team that's annoyingly set up that kind of is our kryptonite a little bit in terms of more physical and things like that. But I think, look, the best games I've ever been to at the Stadium Light, which I was telling you off air before, is a playoff game at home. I think the go up is the atmosphere is almost as good as a North East derby. And I think if we're still in with a chance, I back us to do something, but we need to go in with a chance. But on the flip side, that does add a bit of pressure to you, I suppose, because you've got the home leg first, which I think you'd probably prefer because it's kind of like I like taking the first penalty in the shootout because then you know if you fuck it up and you've missed it, okay, the pressure's still on them because they need to score it. But you have that first leg at home where I think you go in as favourites. I think that's based on form. I think that's based on your home form. I think it's based on a lot of different things. But I know a few years ago you drew 0-0 with Borough at home and then went on to win 1-0 away anyway.
Yeah.
But how much pressure is on that Friday game for Coventry, considering A, your away form, but B, also the fact that, 9 times out of 10, the team who finishes fifth has to get a decent result ahead of the second leg.
Yeah, I think we've been here and done it before. The year that we played Borough, they were probably better than us on paper as well in terms of a whole squad. Obviously, we had Hamer, Gyökeres, and people like that in that side. But in terms of overall quality, they had a very good team year that year. Sorry, Borough, and I think what killed them was they very much thought if we get a 0-0 or win at Cov, we'll win the home leg regardless. And it was that like they drew 0-0 with us and they were printing Wembley shirts and all sorts. Like they were that confident they were going to beat us. I think that played into the hands where I don't think that will happen for either team this time. I don't think there's an overconfidence from either team. I think you guys know it's over 2 legs, and like I've said to you, even if we get a good result at home Friday, which is important, I think you're still in the game at your place because it's good, like you said, it's going to be a totally different atmosphere in both games because it's a playoff game rather than it being a league game. Like there's so much our seasons both depend on these two games. Like whatever we do in these two games and how we play effectively keeps our season going for one more to potentially get to the Premier League, or our season ends and we have to go again for a whole another 46 game season next season. So it's that's how much depends on these two legs. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think if, like you said, even if we were to win, for example, 2-1, I still think that very much favours you with that goal. Like you said, I think even if you lose, but you've scored in that game, I think your fans will be happy with that because you probably wouldn't expect to win or get anything really at us. But if you can keep yourself in it, go into the stadium of like second game, I think you'll take it. I think your fans' worry is are you going to turn up and is it going to be another 3-4-0 type of result? And then when that happens, it's going to be very difficult to do. It's not impossible, but it's going to be with recency bias and your luck against us. Is it going to really be that much? Like if you're a betting person, it's not really going to be something you lump a load of money on for Sunderland to overturn it, and vice versa. If you were to come to us and get a 3 or 4-0 and absolutely do us, I wouldn't really put money on us to go all the way up to you and get a result as well. So I think this first game kind of sets the precedent for it. And if it ends in a draw or a close 2-1, I think it kind of favours yourselves. But if obviously we do manage to get a good result, I think majority of Cov fans would be confident that Tuesday night going up to your place that we'd get even a draw or something. You know, even if we didn't win, we'd be confident that we'd see it out, if that makes sense. And I imagine it might be something that we change formation as an example and maybe go to a 5 back and really try to shut you out and just hit you on the counter, basically, depending on the result. But it's all if buts and maybes, mate, and it all comes down to the 2 games, and neither of us know what's going to happen, or else we'd put loads of money on it and and know exactly what's going to happen. So it's a do or die moment for both clubs, really, isn't it? But I think the one thing we can say is it's going to be a very, very good 2 games of football, regardless of what happens.
I think it is. I think if you take away the nerves and you take away the what it means in terms of getting to Wembley and then potentially getting to the Premier League, which both clubs have got a big history with, and both clubs want to be back there. Both clubs have probably feel like they've been out too long from that division. If you take out all of that, this is kind of the games you want as a football fan.
Yeah, 100%. This is
This
what you,
is
this
why
is
you
what you
go to
sup-
football.
this is why you support your club.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not like you playing against some random club that you're like, the more bit of a rivalry to it makes it that little bit more spicy. It gives it an edge to it, you know. It gives it that. I think Don Goodman said it for Sky Sports. He said that, you know, that Sunderland game's going to be massive, bit of a rivalry there. There's going to be an edge to it. We're going to be loud. You guys are going to be coming and singing and trying to get something from it. So it's going to be a very interesting 2 games, not just Friday but Tuesday as well. And like you said, I think that if you don't enjoy these moments, of course you're going to be nervous, and all week people are going to be thinking, oh, one day they might think, oh, but I tell you what, I fancy this. Next day they're going to think, no, I don't fancy this. It's going to be up and down emotions for people all week at work and stuff, thinking about going into that game. But ultimately, you've just got to turn up and do your job as a fan for both teams and hope that your players on the pitch are going to put in a performance. And all you can really ask is that they leave everything out there. And if they leave everything out there and they put in 2 good performances, but it doesn't fall for them, it's one of them. It's football. You don't always get the rub of the green, you know. And if you lose, it's part of being a football fan, and the downward sort of spiral of that. Sometimes you get the highs and sometimes you get the lows. So I think that's the key to it. But yeah, it's going to be 2 very interesting games, a lot more interesting than the other game, in my opinion. So.
There's confidence in the Coventry fan base, like I said before. We know why. But I listened to what Lampard said today. Obviously, a very experienced man in terms of football. He's been in incredibly high pressure games, both of which we have probably supported him in terms of World Cups and Euros. But he said that he's not paying too much attention to Sunderland's record towards the end of the season. Spoke really highly of Job, spoke really highly of Chris Rigg. I know there'll be slight mind games in that. I get that. There's probably an element of truth as well. He's not going to go in the dressing room and go, lads, I've lost 5. This is easy. He's not going to do that. Of course he isn't. Football doesn't work that way. But as a Coventry fan, I know you can't speak for everyone, but as a Coventry fan, do you kind of echo his sentiments as well? Does the fact that we've lost 5 games, yes, it gives you a bit of confidence, but do you think it makes that much of a difference in terms of the grand scheme of things? The way we probably feel it does. We probably feel like, oh no, no momentum. We're playing crap. We're playing our bogey team, and so on and so forth. But from the other side, do you read too much into Sunderland losing 5 games?
No, because I think you can't, if that makes sense. We're hoping that's the case. So we're hoping that you're coming in shot of confidence and the Sunderland of league form turns up, because hopefully we can take full advantage of it and potentially get, pardon me, a good lead going into that game. Whereas, for example, if we know 90% out of 100, I'd say, you know, you're going to get a much more up for it, Sunderland. You've got players coming back, you know, you've got there's going to be players that didn't even play in our last game, for example, you know, like you said, Lefay, Ballard, both of those missed the home game that you lost 3-0 at our place back in March before that international break. So that's going to be a big difference for you guys as well. So I think my mentality, along with a lot of other Cov fans, will be of a very similar thought of that your league form means absolutely squat in these 2 games. Basically, you're going to come in with a completely different mentality, and we've got to anticipate that. But if you still come in ropey, then that obviously benefits us, and hopefully we can take full advantage of that. But we've got to expect the November, October best version of Sunderland coming into these two games and fully anticipate it. We can't look back at March and go, yeah, that's what's going to turn up again on Friday, and that's what we're going to do. It's not going to be like that. We've got to be so at it from minute one, knowing that it's going to be a really, really tough game and two legs that we're gonna be in for.
History says the following. I'm going to read out the stats. 5 losses in the last 10 against Coventry, 5 draws in the last 10, so no win in 10. No win at the Stadium Light since 2007, that's 18 years. No away win since before I was born, that's 1985, that's 40 years. 2 away league wins in the last 57 years and never won at the CBS Arena. Look, it doesn't read well, but the records are there to be broken, aren't they? How
Yeah.
wary are you of that? The fact that, because we're saying bogey team, all this kind of stuff, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, I am feeling like that. I am feeling a bit pessimistic, as much as I'm saying I'm up for it and bring me the head of Coventry City and all that kind of stuff. I'm feeling pessimistic because I believe in stupid football, bogey teams and all that kind of rubbish. It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. These players that are playing in this game outside of the 2 games this season have no fucking idea what happened in the previous games with Sunderland and Coventry. Realistically, for both sets of fans, it doesn't matter. However, we all kind of decide our moods based on 11 men who kick a ball about a pitch. So I'm going to not try and speak sense into either of us and just ask the simple question of, is there an element of your record being so good against Sunderland, it puts the willies up you a little bit, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's potential for it. Like you said, they're always there to be broken. I mean, we never beat Preston. I think our record against everything, we beat them this year 2-1 at home. So, records are always there to be broken, like you said, and it's in different circumstances. All the games we've played recently have been league games, so it's for 3 points. This is for 2 legs worth to get to a final. So there's a lot more on the line than in previous games. So pressure does get to players. But again, I think realistically, you need a few of your experienced players to guide you through, because you have such a young team. It's either going to be sink or swim for them, really, isn't it? In these 2 games, they're either going to thrive in the pressure or they're going to absolutely sink in it. And you're going to see that, I think, from the first game will kind of get the precedence of whether they're up for it or not. Whereas I think we do have a lot of players who have been in playoffs before with us in the Championship. Sheaf, Bidwell, Allen, Ben Wilson, they were all there in 23 when we lost to Luton on penalties, and they played the 2 Borough games. And obviously they played in the final, and then we've got Hadji Wright, Milan, Bobby Thomas. A lot of these players played at Wembley last year in that semi-final against Man United when, we look at Wolves away, for example, when we were 2-1 down and we overturned it 3-2 in the space of about 5 minutes of added time. So these players in these pressure moments have been there before. So I think it's more, we can look at styles of play and records and all of that stuff, but it's about who manages the occasion the best and really rises to it and kind of thrives in it. I think the one thing we've done at home, touch wood, all season is we've thrived under the pressure occasions at home, and we've really, really took it in our stride. And I think that's what gives a lot of fans confidence we're going to get a good result on Friday against you, is because one, previously we did it, but it's not even just to do with you. It's our whole persona that's been at home under Lampard really since the turn of January up until these 5 months or so. Really, this is where we've kind of turned the CBS, which we've always thought is an intimidating place over the previous years to come for teams anyway. It just feels there's an extra edge to it, really. And obviously, because we've kind of just been from out of nowhere, we kind of come from like that graph that they released in the EFL. It was so funny. They on Twitter or X, so they put it out, and all of a sudden we were like here floating, then we went down, then all of a sudden it just goes whoop, and we just go up in this like direct straight line. And obviously a lot of that is down to our home record, and obviously we went on that 10 out of 11 game winning run and set a club record and did all of that, which obviously your win was sort of a part of as well. Like it was a really good time, and I just feel like there's that feel good factor, but ultimately none of it really matters now in these 2 games. It all comes down to who's up for it the most and who manages the occasion the best out of the 2 teams and plays their stuff that they're capable of doing. But I think both teams are very good footballing teams at this level. I think both of us have shown the style of play that we can both play and how good of a teams we can be. So it's just about showing that bottle and that grit and using your skill and your good players that you know you've got. And hopefully, as I said to you off air, you've got clutch players, and so have we. Those clutch players turn up and deliver individual moments for you when needed, which you still need in both games. Players to turn up and deliver and have almost star sort of performances. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I don't think, to answer your question, it matters too much in regards to like all of this kind of like, oh, we always beat Sunderland. I'm not really taking that into my stride. I think if anything, that kind of like worries some of us a little bit more, if that makes sense, because you think, God, is this going to be the time that you actually get one over on us? It's that overriding feeling. But as I've said, it's face value, mate. We take it and we just turn up and see what both of us can do.
How much do you reckon that bloke that got that tattoo, Sunderland get battered everywhere they go, is absolutely shitting himself at the moment?
I mean, why you do that is
Why?
beyond you. Do
Yeah.
like lack of brain cells is the word that you use there, isn't it? You just don't do something like that, do you? You're just waiting to get terrorised. It's a bit like that Luton fan who, when they beat us last week, bottled it again, and showed a picture of us them celebrating at Wembley when they beat us. A week later, they lose 5-3 to West Brom and get relegated, and we're in the playoffs and potentially could get to Wembley again. So it's like you just don't put yourself in that position. You let the football do the talking before you start to talk. And some people, they like to get carried away ahead of themselves. I mean, we were singing Wembley LA on Saturday, 5 minutes in, and we hadn't even scored or were winning at this point. We could have lost the game. I'm thinking, why are we singing that? Like, sing actual songs to get behind the team. Only sing that like when we were 2-0 up and we were winning and it was guaranteed and confirmed. Like, that's when you should start singing those songs. But football fans are football fans, aren't they? They like to take the highs a bit too drastically into their own hands sometimes. So sometimes, shall we say? So I think, yeah, that guy can either live or die by the sword come the end of that decision. So he'll have to see over the next two legs how we get on.
I can see your Twitter account getting deleted if anything goes in our favour. But looking at the hypothetical question here, right, I've got a couple more, which is obviously the predictions. But there's a question I asked, and I spoke to a QPR fan last week, Clive. Brilliant. Love for words as his podcast. Fantastic. Really smart guy. Not to say that you're not, Ross. I'm just saying. Um, um,
I'm from Coventry, mate. I can't be smart.
that's touche. In reference to, look, we both one of my questions was, what would promotion mean for Coventry? Then I thought, don't ask that, Graham. That's a stupid question because it's the same as what it means to Sunderland. Do you know what's been bugging me? And it's been frustrating me an awful lot, actually. Football in general has been really, really frustrating me. And one thing that's maybe stopping me from being completely up for this game and the playoffs is the fact that Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich all had these amazing moments less than a year ago. And then they've had essentially an embarrassment when they've gone up. And it makes me feel like, look, if you don't get promoted, if we get beat off Coventry, oh shit. If Coventry don't get promoted, they get beat off Sunderland, you think, oh shit. If you get beat at Wembley, you think, oh shit. If you beat Sunderland or if we beat Coventry, brilliant. If you then win at Wembley, oh, what a day out, fantastic. That's what dreams are made of. And then the reality sets in and you think, oh God. And we've both been out of the Premier League for what we probably both feel has been far too long. Is there a part of you that is kind of concerned about what being promoted to the Premier League means after all the euphoria of, say, either of us do it and you have that amazing day? Is there an element of you that's a little bit like, can we even do it in the Premier League? Is football now changing to the day out as opposed to like actual ambitions, if you know what I mean?
Do you know what though? I do agree with Leeds' owner a little bit when he says stuff. I think clubs like Coventry and Sunderland, they've just got that bit more pedigree to them. If we go up, I think you can
Hmm.
naturally attract better players. I mean, our manager definitely helps in that scenario. If we go up, I think we naturally, no offense to Ipswich and Kieran McKenna, great team last year, phenomenal to play against. Was buzzing for them to go up over Leeds. To be totally honest with you, I was kind of hoping they did it over Leeds last year. It was nice to see, and but I just think you look at someone like Forest as an example, massive club. When they went up, it was, they're going to go down, but they put all their money into it and now look at the rewards they're reaping. They're basically on track to potentially get a Champions League place, and they made an FA Cup semi-final this year, and they had that explosion. And to put it into context, I mean, I'm 26, they're going on 27, and obviously I went to my first Cov game when I was 6 years old. That wasn't a Premier League game. I wasn't old enough to see even, so I've never even watched my team play in the Premier League. So I think in perspective-wise, I get what you're saying, and there is a good chance we would probably get pissed on most weeks if we're being brutally honest. But would I take a season of just having that experience to see what it feels like and be a Premier League club, but also the parachute payments and all the money that sets your club up? Because we're so set now off the pitch compared to previous years. We have all the fundamentals into place. I think even if we went down, we'd be so set to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Championship the following season, be right up there. And the calibre of players, like we have a good recruitment team, we have a good squad anyway. We have players that you can sell on for money, which I think helps. Like we're almost like a B-Tech version of a Brentford or a Brighton who aren't in the Premier League. Like we've got some assets in our team that are worth a lot of money. But on the flip side, if we don't go up, another year in the Championship where we get to play Leicester, Derby, West Brom. Do you know what I mean? Potentially, if we beat you or you beat us at Euston and we get you again over 2 games, like those games are exciting, and the Championship is such an exciting league. So it's not the be all and end all, but it would be quite nice for us to just finish that story and get up there to give people like myself who have never witnessed any Premier League football before, just to get that one, even if it's for one season that year, just to witness it. But you never know. You can go up, as I said, and I feel like some clubs have better pedigree than others. And no disrespect to, Southampton and Ipswich, and they're decent clubs and they've had some good times, but I just don't think they have the pull of potentially like Cov or Sunderland and these other clubs. I think it also depends on what people can see you're going to offer them on the inside, as well as just a game of football. It's about the actual club that they're playing for. And you look at our ground at the minute, I mean, it's sold out every week and we get good away following. You've got a really good manager that I think a lot of young players would want to play under, given and be given a chance. Like Jack Radoni's form has basically become because of Frank Lampard. Like him and Lampard, they speak openly all the time. They stay behind and do extra training sessions together. Like he's so eager to learn, and there's so many players that are out there at that sort of similar age to your Radonis who are at that step above, who might look at someone like Lampard and think, actually, that could be a good shout for us, if that makes sense, to go there. And I think, like yourselves, if you went up, you'd have a very different pool of players to pick from compared to someone like Ipswich, as an example. I just think it's a natural cause of football that can happen. So I don't think it's impossible if either one of us were to go up, but more so for the after effects it would give us. Like that £180 million that you get for going up would be absolutely club changing for us. It would solve any form of stadium issue, I think, that would potentially ever go on again. It would help with investment into the squad. I think you'd be able to do more stuff at the training ground. Like, look at what Bournemouth have done, as for example, now. Like, their training ground's absolutely phenomenal at that sort of level. Like, we've made ours very good for the level, but with that sort of money, you can make it go up to even more of a Premier League level and equip yourself in that way. So I think there's pros and cons to it, but I do agree with what you say. Like, really, do I want to be going to Man City away and watching us potentially lose 5-0, or having home games where you could win but then VAR mugs you off and you're a bit like, oh, get me back to Derby away and and places like that. So it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? But I personally would just love to see us go up to, one, experience that promotion party, and also to the benefits it would give us kind of long run. Because, for example, Luton, people go, well, look at Luton. I think we are so much more well equipped than Luton when they went up. Like, they weren't ready for that step, which is why the fall off they've had is drastically foul. Whereas a club like us or like Sunderland, we're so much more equipped to go up to that level and then potentially stay there. And even if we come down, we wouldn't have a knock-on effect to going down. I think we'd be one of the teams that would then challenge at the top end of the league again in that following season, a bit like what potentially Ipswich and clubs like that will do that have come down this season. So it's a catch-22, but I would love to see us go up just to experience that and have that sort of, like, it solidates your future as a football club as well, in my opinion, especially for us, like what we've been through and the ground moves and all of the no money we've had and everything we've been through over that's sort of 15 years. that have just been like, people take the mick out of us, and I get it, fair enough. People who don't like us are 6,000 fans used to have before, and my argument to them is, okay, well, you go into our position and see how that would affect you as a football club. You have owners that spend zero money, or for example, they wanted you to play at Middlesbrough. Your owners, they say, you're not playing at the Stadium a lot anymore, you're going to ground share with Middlesbrough, or you're going to ground share with South Shields, as an example, or something ridiculous like that. It's going to have an impact on you as a football club, and people are going to think, forget this, I'm not doing it anymore, and you will lose that. But we've not actually achieved anything, and our fan base has gone woof. All we've done is been given a bit of stability and backing, and suddenly everyone is like, right, we've got our football club back and bought into it. And I think that's what we have in our favours as the two clubs we are, is that we have that to go up with, and it has a massive overall impact in terms of us as a football club, and what we can do not only in the Premier League but even the knock-on effect of, if we do both go down, we could consolidate ourselves, then the next time we come back up potentially be more well equipped, whereas certain clubs, it affects them more, as you've seen with Luton this year. They had all that high moment, but realistically 2 years later they're probably worse off than what they were when that year they went up. Yes, they've got a training ground and all that stuff, and it's good for them, but squad wise at the minute they've been done back-to-back relegations, which is a horrific place to be in, which I'm glad that we're not, which we could have gone up that year. But I think our owner Doug King says we're much more equipped to go up now than we were the year we got to the playoff final and didn't go up. He said it would have been a big, more quicker changes would have had to have happened, whereas now we've got a lot more better fundamentals in place at the club, and stuff we've done over the last 2 seasons which will equip us for the Premier League, which have an impact. So yeah, it's you can flip it on both sides, but I'm one of the ones that I would personally love to see us just go up and have that experience for a year, mate, if I'm being totally honest. But I do get the other side of it, and really, do you want to go? Like, there's a good chance we could go down and lose most weeks and not get many points, and you just turning up to games knowing that you're probably going to lose today, or VAR's going to do something and whatnot, and it's a bit of a, can we get this season out of the way and just get to the Championship and spend some money on some decent players at that level? So it's a catch-22, which I do get.
I think if either of us lose, though, we can just forget all of what you just said and just be like, yeah, football shit. We didn't want to go up anyway.
Yeah, we,
uh,
we didn't want to go anyway.
didn't like it anyway.
Wounded, you've got to go to the Premier League. That's what we're saying to each other.
Shite, hate it.
Yeah.
I don't want your prediction for the full playoff because I think we might do another preview, but predictions for Friday. Look, I'll go first because I think we'll lose 2-1, and I know that's not the right thing to do because I know you got to go in with like big, massive bollocks and confidence, but I don't think that's a bad result. I
No,
don't think
I
it's a
think
good one, but it's not a bad one. So I'll
gives
say
you.
2-1.
I well, obviously the podcast that I'm on, Sky Blues Extra, I've predicted 2-0. So I've said a 2-0 result to us on Friday night. Sorry, I just think. Yeah, I think most of your fans won't. I think they're more looking at the second leg. It's more about just keeping yourselves in it, like you've said in that first game. It's going there and just getting a goal or doing something or having an impact, and then taking it to us at that second leg and getting yourselves there. So I think it's like you said, it's that catch-22 again, isn't it? Of what do you want? Obviously, you want to come and win. But reality on your recent form and how you do against us at our place, you just say, right, if we could just get a goal, even if it's 2-1, 3-1, whatever it may be, and keep ourselves in it. Whereas if it's a 2-0 or a 3-0, it's a bit more like we have to score the first goal in that game, if that makes sense. Whereas that goal that you get potentially away could give you the psychological advantage, because you know all you got to do is potentially get one goal and it's back in your favour and you're the home team and you've got the crowd behind you. Whereas when it's a 2 or 3-0, but like we've said before, playoffs are playoffs, mate. Anything can happen. We could win 3-0 on Friday and be over the moon, then end up losing 4-3 at your ground. You just don't know. It's a game of football, and as they say, football's a footy old game. So even if we win 2-0 or 3-0 on Friday, I'm not going to be that ecstatic about it. I'm going to enjoy the moment and go, great result against a good team, but that's half time. That's literally all it is, half time. Like, we've still got another 90 big minutes to go up to your place and just get a result, which is a tough ask regardless. So yeah, I'm going 2-0 to us is my prediction on Friday.
Stupid game. It's a stupid game. It's not a funny game. It's a stupid game. I hate it. Hate it. I love it. I hate it. Love it. I hate it. No, I love it. Ross, good to speak to you, mate.
Yeah,
Have,
on you, mate.
fucking horrific week. And I'll speak to you maybe.
Ditto on that one, mate. Yeah, no, well, like you said, hopefully we'll be able to do another preview, whether we do it on the Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. We can sort something out, and we'll get another one then before that Tuesday. Which again, I said I'm hoping to get up to. So I'm hoping to, when the tickets come out for that, to get my ticket sorted and make that long, treasured journey up to your stadium, and hopefully have something that's in our favour as we're going into the ground and leave happy. But who knows? As you said, mate, football's a funny old game that we love it, hate it, love it, hate it.
Hope your boss breaks down, you bastard. Right. Good to speak to you, mate.
And you, mate, top man.